Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Why Am I Here podcast with me, your host Sani. And yeah, we had a big night. A show came to its end. Did it stick the landing? Some people argue that Game of Thrones did not stick the landing. I thought it was okay. Some people thought Breaking Bad had an amazing ending. But you know, I think Breaking Bad is overrated. But yesterday, Succession came to an end, and what an ending it was. This final season has been a little all over the place, some may say. At least I see some people say, but I think it was pretty clear cut and dry. But there's a new CEO in town, deals being made, alliances being made and broken, and plans going up in fire. So I'm here today to talk about Tom. Tom Tom. Tom Wamsgans. The man who came in, climbed the corporate ladder, and successfully acquired Waco Roy. As you can tell, this is a spoiler. Spoiler to Succession in its fourth and final season. Series ending was last night. I thought it was amazing. The first half was stressful. I'm not gonna lie. It looked like Shiv pulled off a huge win over her brothers. Um, Rome this season has been very interesting to watch as he just really shows the effect of Logan Roy. He's just kind of emotionally stunted, and it all comes crashing down in these last few episodes with him breaking down at the at Logan's funeral. It's interesting how death brings the family together, but at the same time, there's still like backstabby, which is crazy. And they love their father, but hated him at the same time. Very complicated relationships going on here. Extremely complicated. I thought bringing in Alexander Skarsgård has been amazing to Succession, offering a little wily tech guy that you don't really know what he's going to do at any given time, and he's hilarious, honestly. And he's good. He's good at business. He gets straight to the point, unlike all the Americans who kind of beat around the bush and are backstabby about it. So it offers a different perspective on capitalism and how it brings out different things. Forgot my train of thought, but it's okay. Cause yeah, Rome, the fall of Rome. I thought the ending was solid. Thematically it works. Story wise, it works. Like it hits every beat it needs to conclude a show successfully. Tom working his way from the bottom, taking his little victories, even falling in love with Shiv, who ended up being the knife that stabbed the family in the back at the very end to so she could still have a modicum of power. And their relationship got even more complicated this season, saying the worst things possible to each other, falling out, uh, the divorcing, and in the end, I don't know. It's so hard to tell what Shiv is thinking because at one point she's like, "All right, rah rah family," but then she's like, "Okay, I really only care about myself," and that kind of came through at the very end, at the final vote to axe the deal with Gojo, and then that amazing scene, them just finally coming into conflict with their own character and having each other kind of battle it out, literally, like physically and mentally. And it all comes crashing down because Kendall just can't. Like, Shiv thinks she's smarter than everyone else. Roman is. You never know what you're going to get. But with Kendall, you kind of know what you get, but he's really shitty about it. Like, Kendall Roy is such a fascinating character, and throughout his development in the show, you could say he hasn't developed at all. I think the person that had the most character development in the show was probably Roman, because Shiv stayed Shivy. Kendall tries and fails each time, staring at the sunset. I'm surprised he didn't jump off into the water, honestly. Because like he said, like, if he couldn't have this, he would die. But him lying about not killing that kid, in the moment, I thought, Kendall, like, you just fucked yourself. And it's not even their fault with the decision they need to make, because you're just an awful person. The entire time Kendall is doing these things he thinks is for the good of his family, but he's trying to become his dad, and he's just not that type of guy. He's just not that guy. But boy, did Tom finesse his way. It's so funny because on Twitter, like, I think it was a couple days ago, definitely before the finale, I saw this TikTok about like how the writers kind of base these names off of different things. Like, the names have meaning. And the last name Wansgams is the same name of a baseball player that has the only recorded unassisted triple play, which to me doesn't make any sense. Like, how the fuck do you even get 3 people out with no assistance? Like, that I don't know. I gotta check the records on that, but yeah, that is factual, apparently. And at the end, he just became the guy. And I'm a huge Tom fan. I've been Team Tom since the beginning. He's always a guy that is reliable and likable, who may seem like an idiot, still gets the job done. And I guess that's what he was at the end, just a reliable face. He stuck through everything with Shiv, that Shiv just ruining herself, self-sabotaging constantly, fucking over Kendall at the end. And I didn't get the chance to talk about the season. Like, this season has been wild with them dealing with Matheson and Gojo. That whole dynamic with Matheson and Matheson. My tongue can't really do that. Matheson. Let's go. But that dynamic with Shiv, just seeing her the entire season have a fucking counterplot to fuck over the family was just like, Shiv, you don't even need to do that. In the end of the day, none of them really needed to fuck each other over. Like, if they worked together and actually worked together, they could accomplish so much better. And it's funny because the guy, I think Tom fucked over the least amount of people in the show, or at least was the most strategic about his fuckovers, if that makes any sense. And we all love Greg, the disgusting brothers. I'm glad how it ended. Like, I'm actually happy about how Succession ended, because I was extremely worried, and that's why I put watching most of the season off for so long. I would just binge a couple episodes. Like, I know I watched the first episode when it came out of this season. Then, like, I just didn't watch 7 episodes, and I just caught up to the point where Logan passed away in the fucking bathroom. And I was binging that day, and I had to stop and like recover for a couple of days because Logan was a force in the show. Like, he demanded attention, and for him to go out in such a like bot way, it was crazy. But how else would he go out? It's not like he's like doing anything crazy. He's just a businessman. Like, they just check like one day. They get too old. Stress takes over and just destroys them. And it's crazy. And the acting this season has been phenomenal. Like, I can't stress that enough. Alexander Skarsgård and Kieran McCulkin. They've all been fantastic. They always no one in the Succession cast, even like the side characters of like Frank and Jerry, no one like mails any lines in. They all deliver full force. And they make everything work perfectly. I cannot stress enough how satisfying that ending was, and I was so worried. Succession is one of my favorite shows. Like, I remember first attacking Succession. I think it was going into season 3, and I just binged the first 2 seasons, and I was blown away by how funny it was, by how dramatic it was. Like, Tom and Greg, in my opinion, from the beginning, have been my 2 favorites. Like, Kendall's okay, but Kendall's a fucking dickhead. Rome's like good because he's like, misunderstood type of person, but he's also can be a dickhead. But at the end, Rome got realer than any of his brothers or sisters. Or sister, rather. At the end, they just couldn't they couldn't hack it. The stress. Like, no one was sleeping. It felt like everyone was extremely manic at the end. And it's awful because they had such a great like family moment. When they're like, all right, we're gonna give it to Kendall, but when it came down to it, Shiv just could not do it, which is Watching it, at first I was annoyed and pissed, but then I was happy because I realized this was never about Kendall Roy. This was never Kendall Roy's story. It was always Tom Wamsgam's story. This is all about Tom. This is his moment. And I think Shiv knew that she had to let the deal go through in order to be secure. Because I mean, I don't think Tom's just gonna. I don't know. They're kind of. Who knows? Who knows if they continued their relationship or not? Who knows if Kendall committed suicide or not? We just don't know because it just ends. But Rome is definitely the most adjusted out of those three. Connor's an outlier of the story. He really is. Even though he's the first son. Which is funny because when they were trying to make the deal and Shiv was backing off on the deal, Kendall was like, I'm the eldest boy. I'm the eldest boy. Which just wasn't true. And I thought that at the time. Maybe for those three, yeah, he is the oldest of those three. Because they all have the same mother. But you know. Succession. Craziness, dude. Craziness. Greg is an interesting character in Succession because he doesn't really do anything, yet he has the most important information at all times. Because he's so wormy, so Weasley. So Weasley, getting in there. Getting the facts. And he whipped out the Google Translate when they were speaking Swedish to find out, like, oh, they're not going with Shiv. Then he calls Kendall. Which is wild because he was boys with Tom. So he didn't call Tom at that time. Oh, maybe because Tom was like, oh yeah, we're fucked, like fucking with him. Mainly because he couldn't give away that Matheson pretty much just named him the U.S. CEO of the company. What a phenomenal show, honestly. I can't stress that enough. How do I think it stacks up there with all the other shows that have concluded? I don't know. From what I'm seeing online, there's a lot of discourse concerning the Barry series finale, which almost makes me not want to pick Barry back up. People are saying it's unsatisfying ending, whatever that means. It's unsatisfying. So I don't know. I really liked Atlanta's series finale. That's the only other show I can really think of that had a serious finale like in this past year or so. Well, that's crazy. It's been 5 years of Succession. What a phenomenal show. Hats off to all the actors, the writers, dude, the producers. They pulled off something incredible with this show. Putting names on the map like Jeremy Armstrong and Kieran McCulkin, who's like kind of already, yeah, he's a McCulkin. And Miss Snook. Now I'm like, I don't know what to watch now, which kind of sucks. TV wise. Cuz there's like nothing really. I don't know. I got to think about it. Maybe I will watch Barry. Maybe I'll check out some things on HBO There's a show called Yellow Jackets that I heard is pretty good. There are plenty of shows I have not seen, and I'm beginning to realize that. But as Succession comes to a close, soon we have a new season of Black Mirror, which cannot wait for that. That's my shit. But yeah, King Tom wins the day. Thank you for listening. I just wanted to talk about how happy I was for a show such as Succession, of the caliber of acting it has, the caliber of writing that it has, closes it out perfectly. It did it. I'm shocked, but it did it, and I'm happy it did it. So thank you for listening, and be sure to check out any future episodes at whyamiherepodcast.com. You can also find the Twitter and everything. Reviews are being written. I will write my review of Succession as a whole and put it on the website if you want to check that out. Working on John Wick 4 review with the release of it digitally. I only have good things to say about that movie. And probably next episode you'll see is either that, also gonna not film, record a discussion for Beau is Afraid. And I kind of want to talk about trailers, like trailers. I need an entire episode about trailers and like how that works for me, because you know, I'm going to leave that for another episode. But thank you for listening, and have a fantastic night, day, or evening, whatever time it may be. And thank you. Peace.